Hi, welcome back to Midnight Mayhem, where we eat well and live long. With me are my two co-hosts. Let's go ahead and do the introductions.
I'm Bobby, and I love horror.
Well, what?
Yeah, it was a. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
I'm Leo, and I love movies.
And I'm Raymond, the other guy.
And today we're talking about Doctor Sleep, continuation from our last episode, which was The Shining. So I'm very curious to hear everyone's opinion. I mean, you kind of already heard Leo's in mind, but for the most part, we're gonna go more into depth with everything.
Me and Bobby are more curious about hearing Raymond's opinion.
Yeah, it's just like,
Oh boy.
like,
Now listen. In the last couple movies, I gave you, I took pity on you. I'm like, okay, it's fine if he doesn't like that
It's
movie.
okay. Like, I
It's
feel bad
fine.
for him.
It's
He
not-
doesn't have good taste in movies.
It's not for everybody, But this one, dude, come on.
It's funny. I almost didn't get a chance to finish the movie.
it's a long movie.
God, I know.
I was busy with the baby and stuff, right? And then when we did the girl with all the gifts,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, like I'm almost done with the movie, and I had like an hour left.
Oh my god.
And he got super mad at that. So when he told me, he's like, oh, I'm on my way to pick you up. I was like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm almost done with the movie. There's only got like 50 more minutes left. He's like, are you serious? Like, no.
I know. I was so mad.
I'm
I
watching the
was
credits
ready
right
to
now.
fight him, dude.
I was watching
Because
the
I was
credits.
because remember when he said, "Oh, I'm gonna start watching the movie."
Yeah.
It was like 2 p.m.
Yeah.
It was like 7, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go get you. He's like, all right, I got 50 more minutes of the movie. I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Anyway.
I was like 50% positive you're gonna be like, I didn't watch it yet.
Yeah, I just thought it would have been
That was
funny
close.
if I made him think that
That
I
was
didn't watch
close.
it.
That was close.
Anyway, Leo, it's your franchise. Go ahead and give us a synopsis of the movie.
Synopsis. Okay.
Can you use it in a sentence.
So movie follows up with Danny, or he's known now as Dan.
Or Uncle Dan, if you really know him.
Oh yeah, or Uncle Dan.
Dano.
Yeah, or
You'd refer to him as Dano.
Or Danny Boy.
Danny.
Yeah.
Boy. Movie takes place years after the original. You find out there's this new girl with The Shining, or they call it a new
You're-
girl with
you're
The
accurate.
Shining. Her name is Abra, and on top of that, you have this group of it's kind of like
That's what I was thinking.
the not to go too deep into the story. That way we're gonna talk about it. There's some vampires.
Yeah,
Vampires,
I was
yeah.
like, are they vampires? Because on my notes I call them the Shining Vampire, or the Shine Vampires.
Let's just call them vampires. Some vampires, cult in this
Psychic
movie.
vampires.
Psychic vampires
Psychic
that
vampires.
feed.
Literally what it was.
Yeah, that feed off the shining from other people, most specifically kids. And when they found out that Abra has the shining, Abra's a really strong shiner,
Yeah.
When they found out that she has a strong shining, they try to go after her. And then the whole movie is just Abra trying to there's a subplot of the movie where like this kid dies, and like Abra is trying to like solve the murder of that kid, but at the same time trying to recruit the help from Danny, and at the same time trying to survive from these vampires, and at the same time trying to be a sequel to The Shining.
She's literally so powerful with the Shiner. Like, basically has this incredible psychic ability that she can branch out to a bunch of people, and she kind of has been doing that, treating them like pen pals.
Yeah.
And so she made contact with a little boy at some point. That's why
That's not what happened.
it is what happened.
No.
Let's start from the very beginning.
Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
and
Because
and
during
then
the 9-year gap, that's how she
I
knew
watched
Danny.
them. I watched. No, yeah, like Danny, yeah, but
So
not the
base
little boy.
No, she didn't.
No, not him.
Let's start from the very beginning. The movie's directed by Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan is known
Oh, yeah. I
for.
gotta put respect on his name.
Yeah, I know.
I messed that up last time.
No.
He made Hush.
He made Hush.
I was sitting there like repenting. I was like, oh no, I did a boo boo.
He made that
made a
movie
movie.
Oculus. He made Gerald's
Gerald's
Yes,
game. I
Gerald's
wanted to bring it
Game.
up later because I had a theory.
He made the more famously the Haunting on Hill House.
Yes.
The
And
Netflix series?
yeah,
Yes.
a Netflix
Okay.
series. He also made a Haunting on Bly Manor, which wasn't that good in my opinion. Anyway, but he's known for making really good horror movies that go under the radar, and this is no different.
This didn't perform very well in the box office, if I remember right.
It
Kind of
it made a profit, but not enough for movie studios to be like, oh, it's
Okay, so
successful.
the last part of my notes won't make sense then.
Why?
I'll tell you later. But yeah, so I was confused at the beginning because at the beginning of the movie it says like 1980,
Yeah.
right? And it's like you see little Danny, he's like, look at me, my tricycle.
Yes.
And then you're having flashbacks of what happened at the hotel. I thought the movie took place in 1970. Like the movie The Shining was released in 1980, but the story took place in the 70s.
You would know more than me.
No, the movie took place in the 80s, like that same year.
The same year.
Yeah, that same year.
Okay, because I was like, when did this movie take place? And I looked it up and like I mean, at least on Google, it's like
Maybe
this movie
the
took place
book.
in 1970s.
Maybe the book.
Maybe the book.
Yeah, the book. Yeah, maybe the book took place in the 70s.
So right off the bat, I was like, this is already a better horror movie
Oh
than
shit.
The Shining.
Okay.
Like, I mean, The Shining might be a better film overall. I mean, horror movie, whatever.
I get exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it was
Look,
a better as a horror
It
film.
has its flaws, but like
It has
I'm biased for The Shining, so.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like in terms of like camera angles, everything like that is like, oh, like it's a
Okay.
Kubrick film,
Haha,
right?
uh-huh.
But then in Doctor Sleep, it's like this is a horror movie. Like this is a scary movie.
Yeah, it's like a modern film, I
Yeah.
guess.
Maybe I
Yeah.
just like it's all shiny and new, and maybe that's why I like it. Maybe I just have a bad attention
I
span.
don't know. The film, like the style of this movie is pretty fantastic. A lot of
Oh
special
my god, I
effects
loved it.
are like seamless. Like
Yeah.
Oh, I loved
like,
it.
just go back and
There's
forth.
only one scene that I was like, oh, it looks a little weird, but
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. So just keep
But-
going because I want to hear
but
your
I guess the
opinion.
ghosts have been following him around after the events of the Overlook Hotel,
Yep.
and he's scared because like the bathtub lady, you know the hot one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was following him around or whatever, and then at some point I think he talks to Dick Keller and he's like, hey, like you got this, Danny boy. He's like,
Yeah.
you know what?
Dick
I do
is
got
it's almost
this.
as his like I want to say guardian
He's his
angel.
force ghost.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mentor. He's
Yeah.
his mentor.
I'm making a Star Wars joke. I don't even like Star Wars all that much,
I know.
but I have a few of them in here, so just beware. So and then he's like, yeah, just think of a box, and you can just any bad ghosts or any bad omens, anything like that, just lock them away. And then he goes back to the bathroom and the ghost lady's there, and he just closes the door and he just comes out and he just sits and watches the movie with his mom. I was like, damn, like, when you gotta go, like when you gotta go, you gotta go. He's like, I'll just take care of the ghost as I'm taking a piss, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I mean,
But-
what did you think of the way that he took care of the ghosts? As like what Dick would say, like, oh, you know, like, just you have this special place in your mind, built this sanctuary inside your mind, and then inside that sanctuary built these cages or these like chests.
He's like, stuff that
Yeah.
trauma down.
And then with your
That's how I
shining,
read it.
you can place these hauntings inside these chests and lock them forever, and they're inside your mind. They can never get out unless you tell them to. So what do you think about that?
I didn't think too much about it.
Okay.
I'll be
You
honest,
think he was
I
kind of
was-
like overpowered that he just
You
like
didn't think it was kind of cheesy
just
and it's like, what the
exorcist
hell?
like
No, so
I'm curious.
On my
That's
notes,
what
I
I'm
was just like, oh, like Mob Psycho 100.
yeah, like,
So it's
Yeah.
just
but he's just like
just a
locking
kid
him
with
in
like
the
super
brain.
psychic powers, who just like
Yeah.
exercise demons and monsters.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
But, like,
So the first thing I saw when the movie opened, or like after I guess you would call it a cold open.
Right, yeah.
So it time skip. You see Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
Like I said, oh, hello
My
there.
boy.
And then I see the naked lady next to him. I was like, oh, hello there. And then you see the vomit. Like, let's never mind.
Hello
and
there.
then I see him. He's kind of like, oh, like I'm out of money or whatever. And he goes to take the money out of the girl's purse. And Dick Halloran shows up. He's like, that's not cool, man.
He's like, don't do that.
Yeah, he's like, don't do that. He's like, oh, like, well, I mean, she took my money. She probably bought drugs with it. I'm just taking the money that she owes
I'm
me.
reimbursing myself.
Yeah.
That's literally what it says. Like,
And then I don't know if it
like
changed
that.
because I'm a father now, but the little baby comes out. It's like, Mama, and I was like, God, you can't do it. There's a kid
I
there.
can't do that.
And he's just like, oh, he's like, well, here's your mom. Here's some Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
Good luck, you know. And I thought, like, I was like, oh, like, what if it's like a Jane situation from like Breaking Bad? And then they didn't really bring it up after. And I was like, oh, I'm sure they're fine, right?
yeah.
I'm sure they're okay.
Sure,
They're
let's just go
not.
with it.
Yeah, later, I guess he has a vision of her, and she's just like, hey, like, they never found us.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, oh, well, at least the baby's alive,
He's
right?
like
Like
us.
maybe he's gonna call him. Yeah, but like obviously the baby's like he can't call for help himself. So I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna like go over there or like call someone and be like, hey, like I haven't heard from my girlfriend in a while, blah blah, and they'll save the kid. And then the baby, zombie baby, just like, hey, like they didn't get us either.
Pause there because there's two notes I want to make. I love the dialogue in that moment where she's like, "They haven't found us yet."
Yeah, she's
and then she's like,
they're used to him screaming.
They're used to him
because I
crying,
always leave
yeah.
him alone.
I was like, "Oh God!" And then it was reminiscent when I saw the baby because now I have new context to it
Yeah.
of one of your favorite scenes from your child. You see, the one with the
Train
baby.
spotting.
Yeah, where the baby
Exactly.
falls.
Yeah.
Give me
Which
that
was it was him playing too in that movie.
Uh-huh.
Like that was him like in the bed freaking out.
okay.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I know. That's why I wanted to say
And Leo,
like.
Leo loves his dead babies. I'll tell you what.
I saw that and I was like, was like, oh man, this is just immediately makes you think of that scene.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's funny because we talked about that a couple months back.
It's the same actor play in that same scene too.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Yeah. But I saw I had 2 more jokes made. Like he has a flashback where like how he got the black eye or whatever. He got into a bar fight.
Oh yeah.
And he hit the guy over the head with the pool,
With the
pool ball.
with the
And I was like,
ball.
oh, like doctor put him to sleep. And then later you.
Remember, fastest forward a couple years. So
Yeah.
just make sure which time period you're talking
We're
about.
this is all before the time.
So this is the epilogue.
Yeah, watch the
Prologue.
movie. You'll kind of understand. You'll
It's
follow
prologue.
along with us.
Yeah.
So then I see the bomb. I was like, oh, gross. And then I was like, oh, like doctor put him to sleep. And then Dick was like, oh, like, he was the voice of reason, which is weird that he only showed up like twice in the movie.
Well, the director's cut answered that. Unfortunately, the version I bought didn't have the director's cut, so I had to try
The
to
poor
look it
person's
up.
version,
Yeah,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So I end up.
The director's cut has more.
It has another half an hour, and so it adds more context. I think there's only like one scene that didn't seem necessary. I kind of cheat. I watch Dead Meat channels.
That scene, I think I know what you're talking about.
Director's cut versus theatric cut, because I was like, I can't access it
Yeah.
otherwise right now.
Yeah.
Dick Halloran's character, the mentor, since first of all, he was never dead in the original
Yeah.
story.
In the original story, he was
So
alive.
this was a genius way to bring him back.
Exactly. Yeah.
It made so much sense. But he mentions in a passing line during the director's cut that it hurts him to stay in like outside of the afterlife for so long. So like that's why he's like, this is the last visit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's because I was like, why? Like,
Yeah.
you could help. I need your
but then-
assistance.
But we meet a young girl in a movie theater.
Yeah.
And some guy comes over there and he's like, "Hey, you're nice and young," and she's like, "Thanks, I guess." Turns out she lured him there because he's like a pedophile. She's like
She
real
lures
young.
pedophiles.
She's 15. She lures pedophiles, and
Reminded
she
me
marks
of-
them. And she has a shine as well,
Mm-hmm.
where she can control people's brains. And then I made another joke. I said, she put him to Doctor Sleep. And then I also said Jedi mind tricks
Hey,
because
we
that's pretty
should
much what she
replace
can
this
do.
guy, man.
I know.
Come on, those jokes.
But yeah, I mean, hey, I was just watching the movie, all right? But she can control people's minds, and she got tracked by this cult that you mentioned earlier,
Right, the two main people from the cult.
Psychic
it was
vampires.
psychic vampires.
The
And their
Knots.
name is the True Knot,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
always appear randomly in a forest.
That's
It
I
would
mean
seem
that's
like.
where they kind of hide. What's the leader's name?
Rosie.
Rosie.
Yeah.
Rose.
Rose
Rose,
the Hat.
and then her boyfriend is
Cobra, or the Crow.
no,
the
Crow.
Crow Daddy they call him.
Crow
Crow
Daddy.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Crow Daddy. Yeah.
You've seen him.
Yeah.
Daddy.
So was it just Rose in the movie theater, or she was with?
No,
Crow.
so Crow is like the tracker.
Right.
So he goes around, he finds the people, and they trap him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So well, it was interesting because he goes to her trying to like trick her. He's like, "Oh, hey, you forgot something in the theater," and she's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, just leave me alone," and he just stops dead in his track. So it worked on him.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then Rose the Hat is like, "Nah, like we got you."
And just making sure we explain the context that the True Knot has to like feast on children. That's
Right. Yeah.
No, no,
yeah.
no,
yeah.
yeah.
for the audience in case they didn't watch.
They
the
need
movie.
to feast off The Shining. Obviously, The Shining is stronger on children that have it.
because they're pure-hearted.
Because
and
they're
they
pure-hearted.
They haven't been corrupted by the world yet.
Exactly. I mean, you see how like, Danny, like his Shining has like worn out.
So the True
Throughout
Knots
the years.
basically just monsters. Like they're pieces of shit. I'm gonna
Yeah.
curse. they
Well,
really are.
You're
I
gonna get
mean,
demonetized.
no,
I
it
mean,
doesn't matter.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like,
You know,
sure, they kill children, and they take away their Shining to survive longer, but that's how they survive.
They make them suffer. The longer that's literally their
That's
process
true,
is
that's
torturing
true, that's
children to feast on their essence basically, and then enables them to live longer. They're selfish beings, no
So,
longer human.
I love this movie because it's like for me,
Because
it
of the
made
children
me
torture.
no,
The dead
no,
babies.
because
No,
like
because you can understand being
No.
the villain, like trying to
yeah, it's like you feel
survive.
you feel bad for the villain. Then you're like, no, I
Not
want,
really,
no, but at certain scenes. I'm not saying throughout the movie.
Okay, all right, go
So
for
in
it.
certain
Let's talk.
scenes, I'm like, yeah, I feel bad for the villain. There's certain scenes I'm like, no, they need to die. All of them need to die. And
It's
there's
not
certain scenes I'm like,
it's not
damn,
like
they
the
didn't
Devil's
deserve to die.
Rejects, where you're like, oh, like
That's a funny moment. Ice cream.
No, but hold on. The Devil's Rejects. They
They're
were
all monsters.
They
No,
were
no.
were just straight up monsters. They didn't need to do that to survive.
no, I know.
You know what I
saying,
mean?
I'm saying in regards of you feeling like, oh, I kind of feel sympathetic toward them
Right.
toward the end of the movie. I don't
Throughout
know
the
why
movie.
I don't know
Throughout-
why you feel
no,
bad.
no,
I don't
throughout
know why
the
you
movie.
feel bad for these
The
people.
moment,
Throughout the
the
movie.
moment they ate Violet in the beginning of the movie, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I know, I know. The
They
beginning of the
die.
movie, yeah. No, same here, same
There's
here.
two things, right? Two things. I don't know. Like randomly in the movie, I had a thought because like I guess all Stephen King books and movies are like in the same universe technically.
Yes, more or less. Yes.
So the first thing with where they get the little girl Violet, I was like, oh, it's like the opening to
It. Yeah.
Yep.
right? And then randomly throughout the
Stranger
movie, I
Danger.
was like, Danny Torrance versus Pennywise the Clown. Who would win? Because pretty much like he like
Danny?
right? Just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
lock him
Danny.
away.
No, yeah, Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
Well, I
he's a
mean-
cosmic being, right?
Yeah, and he also, like-
Wait, who's a cosmic being?
Eight.
Pennywise.
Yes, he's a cosmic being. So,
But I'm pretty sure you could just lock him
all
away.
right, now we're gonna start controversy.
We're gonna start
Who's
controversy.
gonna
Who's gonna win
fight?
in the comments?
I feel like I
Pennywise
would have
or
to read
Danny?
the book, just
No.
sit there and be like, all right, what? That's a whole other thing.
I'm gonna look up fan fiction.
Danny
later.
would win because
Danny would win.
you had to
Based on
defeat
mental
Pennywise.
fortitude.
Based on the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the movies, like they defeat Pennywise by like, oh, you're not scary. Oh, you're just like this.
You're just
this
a punk.
Yeah, you're just
Yeah.
like this squeamish little thing. You know, like
Wait,
Danny would win.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But I was saying one of the things I noticed, and like it was one of those like, hey, this is an in-your-face reference.
the whole end of the movie.
Yeah, with the whole like ghost baby and like that girl scene.
Okay.
Mhm.
He was like, I gotta stop drinking.
yeah.
So he gets sober. He goes and he like meets a guy, like a doctor guy, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
First of all, what was his friend's name? Billy?
Ben.
Ben?
Mhm.
I don't think it was Ben. Hold on.
100%, dude.
Was it Ben?
Yes.
I have it in
Yes.
my notes.
It was devastating. I was sad when what happens to him later on.
I know.
I mean, this is
I'm
a
pretty sure it was
spoiler
Billy.
review,
I'm
so
pretty sure it was Billy.
100%.
I think it might have been Billy. I think Billy.
My bastard. I don't know.
I was watching
Oh,
the
now-
subtitles
now
because
I-
I'm old and I can't hear very well.
I just rewatched it like right before you got here.
So did I.
So,
With
anyways,
subtitles.
Keep going.
He
I
meets
gotta
his
double
friend.
check.
So
Oh
first
my
of all-
gosh.
Best guy.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. All
Best
he
guy.
wanted was just the best for him. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter where he came from, what his struggles are. He just wanted the
He's
best
like,
for him.
I don't know you. I see good in you. I want to see you succeed. And I was like,
I know.
we all
He's
need a
so
Billy in our
good.
life.
Yeah, I know.
or Ben,
Ben.
whatever wrong answer you gave out.
Let's see.
But
He gave him an apartment.
yeah, so he takes him to like an AA meeting, right? And he meets
Right.
a doctor. And when they go to the doctor's office, it looks exactly the same as the office that.
Aha!
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad you
Yeah.
noticed that.
Well, that was like an in your face.
I
thing,
know,
wasn't it?
I
Or-
know, but not for a lot of people. Not for a lot of people.
All right.
No wonder
I'm
why
old.
this movie tanked. People are
It
stupid.
was Billy. What the?
Yeah.
What's wrong with
wrong
me? You believe me?
I know. And I
Okay.
was like, Ben. I was like, no way.
So then I was
Billy.
like, then
What?
like we see
Okay.
the shine vampires.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, what did I say? Shine cat. I was like, the cat has the shining.
God, I don't remember what you said.
But I was thinking, was that based off the story?
The book?
No. Well, I mean, I guess the book. But there was a thing where like a cat in a nursing home would go
Oh,
to doors.
I believe
and
so.
it's
other
no,
people
based
that-
off a true story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's
that
based
was
off a
cool.
true story. Like there was this hospital somewhere in the world where like this cat would randomly go into people's rooms, and then like within a couple of days, those people pass away.
and then very early on in the movie, they're like, like you're Dr. Sleep.
Which
it seemed forced.
I get it,
I
but
think
like
they were just looking for a reason to be like, oh, it's Doc. Yeah, like that's what they called him in the first movie.
yeah, sure. But it's like how do you feel about that? Like him,
Shepherding people onto the
yeah,
afterlife.
into the
I'm
afterlife.
surprised nobody was like, hey,
You're not
this
murdering
guy's
these
always
guys?
in the this guy's always in a room when these people are dying. Like,
They're
I
in
don't know
a
what
That's
he
what
says.
I thought in the beginning. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought in the beginning. It's like
Because later in my notes, I was like, I'm pretty like the cat's murdering people. Like he's just going in a room and then Danny's going over there like, yeah, like let go.
I just feel like it's so beautiful and touching because he can see the dead, but at the same time now he has a job to kind of like
Guide them.
guide them.
Yeah.
Guide the living to the dead. You know what I mean?
Because
So
I
it's
like the interview that he had with the doctor where he's like I'm not afraid of dead people. Like it's
Yeah.
it's natural. Like it's everyone's dying. He's like what does he say? He's like everyone's dying. He's like the world is just like a hospice with fresh air.
Yeah.
pretty
something like
much.
that.
Yeah.
Which is a super dark way to look at the world, but like
I mean,
but
the
he
way
also-
they phrased it was like very uplifting.
But it's also it's Danny. Like he's got trauma.
Yeah.
I can see how he would view the world like that. But he director's cut. He actually he shows them their memories. Like helps them. He eases them
Wow.
even more.
You got something in here.
Wasn't me though.
It wasn't.
I got you.
Yeah.
Cool.
But then he
Fix
gets
that, fix that dude, man. Fix
he
that
gets a
dude.
psychic pen pal.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, like they start communicating through the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Chalkboard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I had it in my notes, but there's a when we first meet the little girl Abra, it's at her birthday party and they have a magician there.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I like some of those tricks.
I know where you're going.
But
with
she's
this.
like, oh, I could do that too. And he's like, yeah, whatever, kid. Like
Yeah,
I'm
her
getting
her
paid to
name's
do
literally
this.
Abra,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the Pokemon.
Like they should
Like
just
the
call her
magician,
Sabrina.
like the magician trick.
He was like, no, he's like abracadabra. She literally said it. Like, he's
Yeah.
like, okay.
But she was like, oh, I could do that. And he's like, yeah, whatever, kid. Like I get paid for this. You know, this is my job.
Yeah.
Later, the parents go inside to grab the cake or whatever, and all the spoons are floating. And I was like, God damn it! Like this is why we can never find spoons in this house. But that's early on. The parents find out that she is a gifted child.
Yes.
Right.
But
And I'm glad that the parents are like, she's gifted, and not like, oh, this must have been the wind. You know, like some other movies.
she's possessed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, not even that.
Well,
But they were, I guess, like they don't really flat out say it in the movie, but they're kind of like, yeah, like, hey, don't tell us about this because it's weird.
Well,
Yeah.
that's again another thing from the director's cut. Where
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's like, if they added a little more context, I'd be like, oh, this would have made more sense in the
that's why
movie.
the whole movie would have been 3 hours long. Otherwise, because
Little bit-
this was a long movie. That's
a little
kind
bit
of my
longer
thing.
in the director's cut.
Yeah, so what he did was, like, they kind of showed that they actually kind of feared her,
Yeah.
and she learned early on to like not
Not-
do things because
yeah.
she knew she was scaring them,
Yeah.
and so she didn't want them to look at her in a different light.
Yeah.
So that's some like minor things, I guess, subtle details that were
Yeah.
taken out.
Mhm.
But for me, when I watched the movie originally and when I rewatched it, I thought that they were supportive parents, and I was like, oh, they're just like
I mean,
don't
they
ask,
are.
don't tell.
Yeah.
But after like hearing about the director's cut, I'm like, oh, they were afraid. So
Yeah.
I was like,
No.
okay, that was the intended purpose.
They
from
are.
the
They are
director,
supportive. You know, like for parents to be like, oh, you.
that you got psychic powers.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like they're supportive. Like, oh, there might have been a lot of parents that were like, oh, that's not real.
Diablo.
You know, like yeah, or like
Yeah,
something
like-
else.
Call a priest in.
Exorcist.
Yeah, but they find a kid, right?
Nah,
The
the
vampires.
literally the most brutal scene in the movie.
Not that
Not
one
yet. Not
but-
yet. Not yet.
Not
Which
yet.
kid are you talking about then?
Whatever the first kid was. Not Violet, but the second one.
The baseball kid?
Not the baseball kid.
What
There's
kid
one
wa-
before that.
Is there one before that?
I
I'm pretty
don't-
sure there's one before that.
Who? What are you remembering?
I don't
My
know.
memory's bad, so I feel bad about getting
I don't
Billy's name
think.
wrong.
I don't think.
I'm pretty sure there's one more, but
It literally goes straight from there to Billy. I'm really, but the baseball kid.
maybe. But maybe there wasn't one. Maybe there was. Maybe there wasn't. I'm sure
What?
someone will let me know in the comments. But
Bradley.
they pretty much they say like, hey, they're running out, and she's like, no, like we're fine. And he's like, no, like think about it. He's like the longer we've been doing this is like there's been less and less people for us to, absorb their essence.
Specifically children.
Specifically children, yeah.
But
But
the kids, there's less kids with shine. He doesn't know if it's
yeah,
like.
he's like maybe it's in the damn cell phones,
But they imply that these guys have been alive for generations at this
Mhm.
point. One guy had been around since Rome.
that was one of the most interesting parts of the movie. That I'm
Yeah.
like when he's
That they didn't really dig
It
too
was just
deep
in passing.
yeah, he was just passing
in the book
away.
It does, but like not in the movie.
Ah,
'cause
yeah.
There's no time.
Because yeah, he's
There's
passing
no time,
away.
It was a 2.5-hour movie.
They crammed as much as they could in.
Yeah. But yeah, then they do something, right? Like they absorb someone. There was a death before the kid. I don't know who it was. I don't remember. But because of my notes, I was like, oh, they're hunting the shine to extinction, and I said those damn kids in their vapes. But then after it was like oh hey, it was like when they drive by, right?
Yeah.
They drive by. It was a kid with a baseball, and they're like, oh, like look at this kid. Like it's like he can read the pitcher's mind. They're like, that's good enough for me. Let's get this kid.
He had
no,
some
Crow was hunting him. Like,
No,
yeah,
Yeah.
like
But
he had a shine to him.
You're talking about the canister that they opened up to feed everybody. That was just because Crow was like,
No,
"My
yeah,
pop,"
that was leftover Violet.
and something else. There's 3 canisters, and they each have a trophy wrapped around them. So it was just she just grabbed one of them. Like she just.
No, yeah, but that's where
I tried to think it was another kid, but
because
I'm
I
like,
remember they were saying like, oh, like we're running out pretty
Yeah.
much. So they kid the kid, and I was like, oh, there's no way that kid wouldn't be like crying, but like the screaming was like terrific. Like,
Which kid are you talking about now?
I'm talking
Baseball
about
kid
baseball
now.
kid.
Now it's baseball
Okay,
kid.
Bradley, baseball kid, horrible death, horrific, hardest scene to watch, honestly.
That was pretty- yeah.
Yeah.
It was insane. His acting, dude. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was.
Because first I was like, is it bad acting because it's a child? But
No.
I was like, no, it's just
No,
the
it
fact
was
that he
good.
couldn't. It's the fact that he wasn't like crying.
Yeah.
But I was like, his screaming was just like, I want to help this
So-
kid.
so-
but there's no like they took him miles away. Nobody's gonna hear him scream.
That's the scene that they had to edit down the most in the whole movie. Like
I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the director's cut, there's actually parts where like they're stabbing the kid, and like there's like splints of blood,
There's more
like
blood, yeah.
there's splits of blood like splashing on his face as he's
Because
screaming.
that scene was hard to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
'cause
on the
I
director's
noticed-
cut.
Because I noticed when they kept cutting back to him, like you would see him screaming, but
Yeah.
I kept seeing more blood
Yeah.
on his face.
And it's like it's so funny because I saw an interview where they said that they had to like shoot that scene like a lot of times because the kid like would distract the actors by how well he was like portraying that
Yeah.
scene. And like it was so funny because they said that at the end of that scene, everybody was just shocked. And like he would just get up, go high five his dad, and then go get some snacks at the crafty area.
I haven't heard all that part.
No, yeah,
No, the only version I heard,
yeah.
Good job, kiddo. Let's go get some ice
the
cream.
version I heard was that the actors that were gonna be like, oh, we're gonna kill this kid, like they're acting
Yeah,
all,
like we're all gonna
silly.
act really good.
And then they did the scene and they were just like they had to take a step back because it
Yeah.
was just a little too real for
The
them.
actress that plays Rose, like she had to stop a couple times because like
I can
she
imagine.
couldn't take it. You know, there was points where the kid would like scream and like tears would come from his eyes, and they're like, no, don't do that. Like that's
Yeah,
way
they
too
didn't
much.
use any of those scenes.
Yeah, so it's like
Um,
they just it's just crazy.
But yeah, so
He's-
all this is happening. It's horrible. It's like probably one of the most disturbing movies in the scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Mhm. It is the most.
The one who sees all this is Abra.
Yes.
She sees this while she's sleeping, and
Exactly.
I had a creepy thought. I was like, you ever have a dream where you see someone die? Like, what if that's just the shine?
What if you just
What if
shining
what if
into
somebody
someone's
actually
death?
died and then you witnessed that, but you're like, oh, I had a bad dream.
Yeah, this is a bad dream.
Yeah,
I gotta
but-
stop drinking
But
Coke
now
before
yeah,
bed.
now we don't have those dreams anymore.
No, but it's crazy because it's like his shine, even though he was dying, his shine was so strong that Abra sensed him.
I don't know if
I
that
thought it
was the
was
case.
the
I think
reverse.
her shrine is so strong that
She could sense
Well,
it.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
her shine is
She's like a
crazy
great
strong.
well.
I was
She's
just,
like this
yeah, I
amazing-
was just thinking they literally call her the whale. in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
But like I send them as like his
You know
shine
who
was
else they
so
call the
strong.
whale? Brendan Fraser.
Silence.
Sorry.
Continue.
His
the land.
shining was so strong and her shining was strong that it's like it just like interconnected with each other. You know.
I feel
That's
like she went 10% and she went 90%.
No, see, that's the thing is that's why I thought they
Like
were.
there was a spike in The Shining because if he was in distress and when you're terrified, when you're in pain, it spikes.
Right.
See, this is how
So she probably connected to that,
This is how I interpret it.
but she did it in her sleep.
Because everything's two ways. If you make a connection with someone with The Shining, you can kind of go back and forth. That's why I thought they had like a pre-established.
No, yeah, it was
No,
literally
but
just
that's
her
why.
again, yeah.
Maybe in the book.
Maybe.
That's
Not that any of us
because
read.
otherwise it makes no sense. I mean, like you said, that would have to be the alternative. She would have to have sensed his death, but like he was like halfway across the country, right? Like they were like over like 1,500 miles away.
Yeah.
Not that far, but
No, I'm
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure it
No,
was.
far away.
she was like, oh, I sense the presence.
like
Oh
East
yeah,
Coast,
Where it's like,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
East Coast, like that would have been like 1,500 miles away. She's
But,
like,
like,
maybe
yeah.
further.
But for her to have sensed that, I'm like, I feel like she would have had some kind of connection with him, but I don't know. She just said the baseball boy, so she probably didn't know his name.
Yeah.
Whatever.
She learned it later.
But the little
I don't
boys,
know. I don't know if you know. What about the little
That's
boy?
the little boy.
Yeah, he was in Before I Wake.
He was a kid from Wonder.
Is he?
Because his acting was amazing. So
Is he in
it
WandaVision?
was Jacob. Is he in WandaVision?
Is he in WandaVision?
I probably. These are just movies
No,
right
he's
here.
not in One Division.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Is he not one of the little boys?
No, he's not. But he was.
Look
I
up his
see.
name and look up WandaVision. I'm curious.
It's
I'll
not.
look it up while you guys keep talking.
Yeah, you keep doing that.
But yeah, after that, little Abra is
She goes into a little detective
determined.
mode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
determined to find out who killed this kid, and why. Because it's like she literally saw everything happen,
Yeah.
and that's when she tries to
Track everyone down.
track everyone down,
Yeah.
but also get the help of
Of
Danny. Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think she was literally like, "Hey, I need your help," because she was like, I'm pretty sure she could have done it on her own.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious why she was letting him know. I mean, I guess because he knew as well. Because when she freaked, that was another thing too. When she is screaming because she's seeing this whole thing happen, she writes her pen pal, and it just chalks the whole blackboard, just murder. Yeah, just murder.
And then Danny wakes up
But
and he
sees
looks
it-
in the
he sees
mirror.
it in the mirror.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, man. If you're not a Shining fan at this point, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, so.
Well, she needs his help because she's like, it doesn't matter that she has all these abilities. She's still a kid. She can't go across the country by herself. So I feel like that's why she's like, I need to get this adult who can help me, who shares similarities with me, and if I tell him what I want to do, he's gonna help me. you know, which at
Maybe.
first Danny was, or Dan.
Yeah.
He was
But
reluctant.
so Rose is like, yeah, like I felt her, like it was crazy, like she's like super strong.
Yeah.
She's like, but I'll be ready for her next time she shows up, because like she will show up
Yeah.
looking for us, and I'm gonna track her, right? And sure enough, you know, a little kid, like when you're younger, you have like a big sense of justice. She's like, I'm gonna find these people. So
Yeah.
she astral projects herself to where Rose is.
In the supermarket.
In the
Oh,
supermarket.
I love that scene.
So
That was a really cool scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she's looking at the mirror, and Rose is looking at a glass. You know,
Yeah,
like she-
the reflection in
the
the like the
reflection.
milk aisle.
So they're basically looking at each other, and Rose reaches out for her, and Abra, like rightfully so, you're gonna freak out, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you feel something touching the back of your head, like The Grudge, like, you're
Yeah,
gonna freak
yeah.
out.
That was a cool
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
So she freaks out. She's like, "Get out of my head!" And the door explodes. Sorry.
Glass
The
shattered.
door, yeah, the door explodes. Glass shatters. Rose goes flying, and the part that threw me out of that whole immersion was the workers like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" She's like, "I'm fine." But she's
Yeah.
like, a door exploded. She went flying, and her nose is bleeding.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the cashier's like, "I don't get paid enough for this," and she just walks away. Like
The
she
cra-
just walks away when she's like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "I'm fine," and she gets up and just like she just walks away. I was like, "That's weird."
The
but-
craziest part about that is that Abra used her shining ability to interact with her and like bust a window and send her flying from across the country by
Well,
using her mind.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, think about how strong this kid is.
Well, yeah, that's why when she gets back, she's like, "Oh, we're gonna get her."
Yeah,
Like-
so
like-
yeah, and yeah, exactly. And at some points, it's like throughout the movie, you see how Rose is obsessed with this one kid. Screw these other kids. We got to get this one kid.
there's in the book and in the director's cut they mentioned a line where she was like, "We're now." They're like, "What do we do? Do we turn?" You know, they say, "Well, we're gonna turn her,
Uh-huh.
or are we
Yeah.
we're gonna eat her?" Basically.
That was in the movie.
No, yeah, but there's a line right after that she's like, neither. Basically, she was like, "We're gonna keep her alive, and just." She's like, if you catch. She said no. They say if you catch. She says if you catch a cow, like you'll have steak for a month, but if you milk a cow, you're gonna have it for like
So
however
they
long.
just want to use her shine.
They
for
literally
as long as
gonna
they can.
torture
They
her,
reference
like-
it almost.
They do
They don't
reference
reference it, but
there's a
they
direct line in the director's cut
Yeah.
that's like chilling. I was like, oh, like
Yeah,
it's like this
makes
horrible.
sense though. I mean, coming from
I
them.
wish they put it in because I was
yeah.
like,
So
Yeah.
immediately
Well,
after that, she goes to look for Danny. So she takes the bus and she just finds him. Like the
Oh,
mom, like,
yeah,
the
the
mom
park.
takes her. The mom takes her to school.
Yeah.
And she's like, I ain't doing that today. And she takes the bus and she goes all the way to where Danny is. I'm
Uh-huh.
not a
that was
geography
fun.
major.
That was funny.
I'm not a geography major, so I don't know how far she rode the bus. But so she goes to Danny, and I was like, the school didn't call her parents.
Her parents didn't call the school.
No, like if your kid doesn't show up to class, right? They're not gonna be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh hey, like why is your daughter not in? And she was like, what do you mean? Like I just dropped her off. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody. If you haven't played hooky, you don't understand. But I thought, let's see. Oh yeah, the part he says, she's like, oh yeah, like it's magic. Like this is like you're like me, we're magic. And he's like, oh well, back in my day we called it the shining.
Shining.
And he looks at the camera and winks. And he might as well have at that point, right? But I was like, oh, it's interesting because Dick, when he was younger, he was like, hey, like use the shine, like
Yeah.
it's it's good.
Mhm.
And then Danny immediately was like, hey, like don't do it, don't even think about it, like keep quiet, keep to yourself,
Yeah.
like just
It's because Dick told him that before he experienced what
trauma.
he. Yeah, exactly.
that's him, right?
No,
That's not him.
his name's Jacob Tremblay. I can't say his name properly.
Yeah, that's not him.
Okay. Well, I was in this movie, so for this episode, he's not important.
But anyway, let's fast forward for the sake of time.
Tremblay.
She tells
Trem-
Danny, you know,
Bailey. Sorry,
Tremblay?
I want to say his name right. It's Bailey.
she tells Dan
Jacob.
about her plan. She's like, we got to find these guys. You know, I feel like if we go where he was killed, because that's where they bury him, and I touch his glove. Obviously, they touch his glove as well. So if I touch
Yeah.
something that these people touched, I can see
She's
where
like
they're
a
at.
psychic, like police
GPS,
dog.
pretty
Didn't they
much.
call her, like,
yeah,
a looker?
exactly. Oh yeah.
That's what they called her?
Yeah.
Because they don't go into the movie, but they slightly mention it. Like each of them have their own abilities.
Yeah,
Like, there's different
it
types
seems like
of
she
shine.
has more.
Hers is like kind of like Professor Xavier. She could like kind of
Yeah, like she
shoot her consciousness.
I think she
into
has,
somebody.
like-
yeah.
all of them almost, right?
almost. I wouldn't
And then
like
Danny has all of it, but like a little bit less.
Danny's like a tank, man. That's I kind of love how like when they see him, when the True Notch eventually like finds him, or technically Rose the Hat finds him, and he's like, "Where have you been this whole time?"
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because he was old when she saw him, and he was been suppressing it for the longest time.
Like, yeah,
That's
but that's
true,
why.
yeah.
But he's been drinking. That's why.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
that's kind of the big focus of the movie that I felt like went under with the original Shining, was that the metaphor for the hotel is supposed to be like Jack's addiction to alcohol. And for Stephen King, that was like his he was dealing with alcohol at the time. He was an alcoholic at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So this was like a projection for him, and that's why at the end of the original Shining, it was supposed to get his redemption, but he never did.
Yeah.
So that's why it was kind of like, I don't know, I could see how Stephen King could find it like
and also
kind of insulting, yeah.
and also
That makes sense.
But then as a film, from like a film or cinematic perspective, it's like I can see where it was Stanley Kubrick, right?
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley
Yeah.
Kubrick. You know, he made an amazing film.
of course, yeah.
So it's like it's two people at two different crafts of art,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then just
Well-
not blending well, and that's why I love this movie so much. But
Yeah.
I'll let you keep going because actually I'll let you go.
I will say this. One of the coolest visual scenes that I saw took place immediately after that, where Rose looks for her.
Yeah, and she's
Yeah.
And she's flying. So if you
but she's like the camera, like the way it's portrayed is like the world moves around her and she just stays still.
yeah,
I
yeah. But
love that.
The scene that I was like, oh, this is a super good shot. Was, so half the screen is like the clouds,
Right.
And then the other half screen complete black, like just darkness.
Exactly.
And she's just flying there.
Yeah.
I think
that
it-
looks super cool.
I think it perfectly encapsulates like how you would imagine your powers would work in this scenario, and it's just like, whew, like it
And
looks
it's
so
yeah,
sick.
and it technically is her conscious too, so it's like
She's like astral projecting.
yeah,
basically.
and like the whole I love how the world is moving
Yeah.
around her and she's just staying still.
It kind of reminded me of Doctor Strange almost.
yeah.
You know what
a
I'm
little
talking
bit,
about?
yeah.
But so she. Oh, and the other thing too is the house, the little girl's house. The address was 1980,
Yeah.
which is the year that The Shining was released.
Yes. Good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good
Good
man.
catch.
You're good. You're good so far. So
But
far,
yeah,
so
so
good.
the little girl tricks her. She's like, oh, like I'm going in your brain. Haha, I got you. Then the old guy.
That was okay. Hold on. Now talk about that scene specifically.
I was
Rose.
I was gonna go quick because you're like, I was go quick, and I was like, I could
Okay.
probably
Well,
skip
no.
over that,
Let's talk about the good
Yeah.
stuff. It's like
'cause
Rose.
that was actually pretty creepy looking.
Yeah.
So Rose goes in her mind, and she's like, hey, don't worry, I'm just gonna look through a couple things. You stay asleep.
Yeah.
So she's going through like this filing cabinet because like
Thinking that she's
the
like,
little girl says later
oh.
in the movie, she's like, oh, like, we're all kind of libraries
Yeah.
in our mind. So she's going through all these filing cabinets or whatever, and she's just looking over and she's asleep. She's like,
Yeah,
all right, cool.
exactly,
I
yeah.
don't got anything to worry about. Looking over.
I like how she's talking.
still asleep.
She's talking
Yeah.
shit though. That's what I like.
Yeah, I
She's
know.
like,
She
if
got
you
her
could see my
comeuppance.
brain, it's a freaking what is it? A cathedral or something?
Cathedral. Yeah.
And she's like, this is nothing. Look at your little filing cabinet.
Yeah.
Because she
And
says
then
it. you
It's
know,
not even
like-
in alphabetical order. What a loser.
And then her hand just gets slammed into
Yeah.
that filing cabinet, and we get some nice hand
Oh,
gore.
yeah,
Gerald's
and
game
she
of
tries
Italy.
She tries
Yeah,
to
so-
pull away. And
So she comes out, but it's not really her. It's like a weird dream version of her.
And I,
So she's got like colored hair. She doesn't have eyes.
This-
and she's like, oh, like, well, you got tricked by a 7-year-old.
exactly.
I,
you know?
I adored this because I had been watching Ruby at the time when this came out.
Oh, okay.
Because the actress, Kylene, sorry, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Kylene Curran.
Yeah.
She was a fan of Ruby, and one of her favorite characters was Emerald, and she has that short haircut and it's green hair. So like they allowed her to kind of put this reference into it with her own abilities,
That's
which
cool.
is
I
really
like,
cool.
I like when they let them do like,
Yeah,
little
so
stuff like
it's
that.
like what the director did was allow like a lot of more customizations with individual characters. So like in the background, I'm not sure if you saw the posters, but there's Ruby posters all
Yeah.
around the background, and then they have this moment. And
Oh,
then they
okay.
also
Because
kinda-
I there was a scene where she wakes up out of bed or whatever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like zoom in on it, but kind of lingers
It's
a little bit
there.
on a shot, and there's a little figure
Yeah.
of something, and I was like, oh, like what a little
It's-
anime nerd, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, but now that I know it's Ruby, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's Emerald, and that character can do is project illusions. So it's like kind of perfect for this
Yeah.
character that can do that.
That's- I like that.
Yeah, it doesn't make it so cool.
I like that scene.
So
That's
slams
cool.
her hand, and her eyes are all fogged out.
Yeah.
Her hair's shorter, and she's just like taunting her. And well deserved
I
because
ju-
this person's a monster.
Yeah, and I just love
so-
how like the villain got tricked.
Yeah,
You know
know,
what I was
like-
thinking about this movie is the villains never seemed like they were a threat in the movie, and it always
No, they're
seemed like
just
they were on the
surviving.
rope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They're just surviving. They're not like
Because
Off.
I was thinking, the thing is, I was thinking like, what do they even do? Like, do they
They
just
eat children.
No,
That's
yeah,
literally
but I'm
what they
saying, like,
do.
do they just live in the forest and eat kids, and that's their whole life?
Exactly, that's what I thought
'Cause that
too.
doesn't seem
Because in
very
the movie,
fulfilling.
they say like,
mean,
oh,
you
we
gotta
have
live.
all the money in the world. Like some
Yeah,
of these
that's
people are
like-
actually
What are you
involved
gonna do
in
when you're
politics.
retired? I'm not gonna do shit.
I'm gonna eat kids. What do
Like
you
no, it's like they say some of these people are involved in politics. They said themselves, we have all
Yeah.
the money in the world. The
Dude,
the grandpa was
I don't
alive.
think they said that,
They don't say it.
but
In
Danny thinks that.
Danny thinks that, and then
Because
director's
the dad's like,
Says
hey, I'm gonna call the cops, like they're
Oh,
after my
yeah.
kid or whatever, and he goes like, they've been around for who knows how long.
Exactly.
Like they have all kinds of money. They're probably into
Okay.
like the politics, all this stuff.
But
Like
the
they're not
director's
worried about
cut,
cops.
He's like, Crow literally says like, oh, we'll just call the FDA and tell them we're gonna be in this area.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, so they do have power. They do have pull.
Yeah.
And again, probably more in the book. You would know more.
So
Like,
should I
us-
have just sprung for the director's cut? It sounds like because the
It sounds amazing,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it
I
sounds
didn't
so-
get to watch it.
Yeah.
But
Well, look, the director's cut just had. They just had extended scenes from the beginning with the little girl Violet.
Yeah.
An extended scene with Dick
What?
Halloran,
Dick Halloran.
and then an extended scene of the kid getting tortured, baseball kid.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
No, but I really feel like the other two scenes were just like they added so much more to the story. Like just those
No,
extended
yeah.
scenes would
Yeah,
have
yeah.
made so much more sense.
Definitely.
I think a lot of it was just left to like up in the air. Like, this might be.
This
a thing.
is the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we gotta edit it down. Like
That's
it has
it.
to be consumable for audiences.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
Because it wasn't. Again, it is a 2.5 hour movie, and I can barely imagine. Like that's one of the problems I have recommending this movie to people because it's so long.
It's
doesn't
two and
feel
a
long.
half hour movie.
doesn't
Yeah,
feel
but we like horror.
based
Like,
on a
yeah.
movie that came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
That a lot of younger audiences
This-
have never seen.
And I've been holding this back this whole time. This
Yeah,
movie
you
made me
know-
appreciate The Shining so much more
I do think
from the story structure
Yeah.
you can't watch this movie
without
Without-
without seeing The Shining.
Even
I feel
though,
like
so
yeah.
it's not a
Good,
2.5 hour movie. It's a 4.5 hour movie.
But-
Sure,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
It's because they try to fix the ending of the original to fit Stephen King's ending.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's
true.
something we haven't even mentioned yet. But the ending of this movie is the ending of The Shining. It was supposed to be the original ending,
The ending to this movie ends with the hotel being burned down.
which is
The ending to the original Shining in the book was the hotel being burned down.
Jack Torrance's redemption was overheating the boiler.
Yeah, he regains his consciousness and he
And
takes
he-
the hotel down.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah, so then they just gave Danny that end in this movie.
Did you mention that in the last episode that
I-
they burned down the hotel?
I know, I try not to.
No.
Because
I checked
I was
Midnight
watching the
Point.
movie and I was like, didn't the movie didn't the hotel burn in the last movie?
Nope.
And I don't know where I got that information from. Like in my mind, I was
Yeah.
like,
We
didn't-
probably watched the kill count.
no, like
of Dr. Sleep.
in the
Maybe, I
first
don't
one,
know.
I was like, wasn't there something with like the boiler room? I could have sworn maybe you mentioned something
No,
about. Like,
I tried my best not to because I knew you hadn't seen this, and I was like, I'm gonna make it a point not to say it.
When the movie was coming out,
watch
maybe
it
I
in
have
every
the
scene of
shining.
me
Maybe
saying
I have
it.
the shining. I don't know where that,
when the
like, that
movie
came in.
when the movie was coming out, they were saying how like Mike Flanagan was gonna pretty much like do justice to
Both the movie
Stanley
and the book.
Kubrick. No,
Yeah.
specifically Stanley Kubrick and Stephen King. And I'm like, you can't do that. They both hate each other. Like,
Hey,
it's
hey.
like so then.
But he did it.
So then when I found
That's why I
out
like
that the
movie so
ending
much.
when I found out that the ending of this movie was the original ending to the book, I was like, okay, that's how you can please both.
Yeah.
At the same time, also doing justice to
Well,
the original
but because
movie.
of that, the movie drags on longer than it kind of should. Because the movie kind of should.
So be it. I loved
I
it.
don't think it
I
dragged on at
loved
all.
it.
I'm glad. I'm really glad you think that.
But I was saying,
But,
I was like, Billy, right when he wakes up, like his Billy at 4 in the morning, he's like, hey, like, listen, I have a weird story to tell you, but like you said you see good in me, like I need you to believe me on this.
maybe.
And I was like, damn, like he's a good friend.
Yeah.
I think he's a
Yeah,
super good
so-
friend.
Yeah, and when
But
he's all like,
when
I
he was
don't
saying
care.
that, I thought he was kind of inferring like, does Billy have a little bit of shining in him too? Because he was like, oh, I'm always a good judge of character. Like I see someone I know there's good in them.
Earlier in the film, he says that like everybody has a little bit of shine in them, but yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of seemed like they were
And
implying
then,
that.
and then this, if you can make this into a poster, I don't know how well your Photoshop skills are. I said Billy and Dan, vampire hunters.
Just
Right.
A little
Buffy
bit,
the
yeah.
Vampire Slayer.
But yeah,
Yeah.
they set up a trap at the forest.
Yeah, and how do you not find that suspicious? You're like, hey, this little girl that we're after, she's sitting alone in the forest, meditating.
Oh, you
They
mean
knew it
when
was a trap, but when they saw her there, like these people don't know how
How strong she is.
strong she is and how well she can project. Only Rose has seen that.
Also, there was like
everybody
what, like
else-
5 of them and a
Mhm.
little girl.
Exactly, yeah. And as far as they know, they're like, oh,
yeah,
it's
but
just
that's
her.
what I'm saying. Like, if they know it's a trap and they know she's just a little girl, like they
don't walk straight into it.
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
I
they're
get
like,
what you're
oh,
saying.
like for sure she's a little girl or whatever.
But here's the thing: they thought that it doesn't matter if the little girl had two grown adults with her. As far as she
They
knows,
didn't know. They didn't know about them.
no, I know,
No,
but it
I
doesn't matter
didn't
who
know.
they had. They had no idea about Danny,
Mhm.
so they had no idea that somebody else with the shine was helping her. So they're like, we can easily. There's 5 of us. Doesn't matter. There's other adults here. We can outpower them. You know what I mean?
So, all right, two things. My like number one criticism of this movie is I wasn't satisfied with the True Notch's deaths. Like, I wanted them to suffer.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're monsters.
Yeah, I know.
I said.
So the way they all went out like that, I was like, that's kind of so-so. But then I found out how they died in the book, and I was like, oh, that was a cop out. Like, it felt more like a cop out than how they died in the movie. Because apparently they ate a little boy that had
Oh,
measles.
that got polio.
Yeah, they ate
Yeah.
they ate a little boy that had disease, and that got them sick, and then half of them died, or like
Okay,
most
wash
of them
your
died.
food before eating it.
Yeah, no. So yeah,
was
they
like-
got like polio, and then slowly they started dying off, and then that's what made them. They're like, okay, now we gotta get this girl in order to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
did you feel that way? Because you said they fell into this trap, and then they got kind of shot up, and basically.
I feel like it was the perfect ending for them.
that part was.
Yeah,
I thought-
because
I thought-
after that, it
Oh,
gave
God.
Rose, like,
Her motivation.
Her motivation to just.
I said that's it was kind of messed up that she watched all of her friends die.
I enjoyed that.
But I was like, but they
Should
deserved
suffer.
it. Yeah,
Of
course
like
they
even
deserved it. Of
even
course
little
they
girls like,
deserved
hey,
it.
you deserve this. And
yeah. I was like, fuck
Yeah,
your shit,
well
bro. You got this.
deserved. And then that gave the
She got her-
motivation to Rose to just kind of like.
She called her bitch child.
but I was saying like,
Uh,
did Crow know that was gonna happen? Because did he basically just send all of his friends to die?
That's what I thought too when I first watched it. And actually, my second watch, the first one, I was just like, he was just like playing it safe.
yeah.
But I was like, maybe he didn't think they all would.
They would all
lose and
die?
They would all
But
die.
he had a backup plan, so it's like he must have thought something would have gone wrong.
Yeah. But maybe.
That's a good. That's a good.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
was yeah. I saw that when I was rewatching it earlier today.
And
I was
then
like,
the whole time, right? So that sometimes when they would use The Shining, they would get a nosebleed, and I was like, why is that so familiar? I was like, that's Stranger Things.
Stranger Things inspired by. I
By
don't know,
this
man.
movie?
I don't know.
This-
No,
this-
not
this
this
Stranger
movie.
Things came
No,
out
no.
way
Stranger Things
before.
came out way
Psychic
before.
stuff, dog. Psychic stuff.
Sure, whatever.
But yeah,
Migraines.
and then so she's all drugged. Crow's got her in the front, and he's like, "Hey, like I drugged you, like super crazy, like enough to basically take out an elephant.
Yes.
You're not going anywhere.
Yes.
He's like, if I need to, I'll drug you again. I'm taking you back, and we're gonna do whatever we gotta do.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep you alive, and
We're gonna
and
yes,
now-
torture you.
you.
Now, before you go any further, you forgot that the last what's the cult name again?
True Knot.
The last True Knot that dies was.
before you say this, I want to say Billy deserved better.
That was
They
awful.
deserve so much better.
Oh, and,
It was
and we
such-
also didn't talk about the father. Her father who died. Off
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, I know, died off screen.
I,
My problem with this movie is how they gave such a big role to that one. What's her name again?
she's something Fang. They call her. Give her
She's
her name.
Snake.
Snake.
Something Snake, yeah.
Something Snake.
Snake bite.
Snake bite. Okay, so they gave Snake bite
Andy.
like
And-
such
yeah,
a big role.
like Andy Rattlesnake or something.
Yeah,
Big
like a
Snake
big role
bite
to
Andy.
kind of like okay, like it when you first see her, like and get introduced to her, you feel like okay, she's gonna have a bigger role in the movie, which she kind of did. But at the same time, she just gets turned into like like oh she's just a goon who
Yeah.
manages to survive at the very end. Like
when they recruit her, I was like, oh man, they're gonna make everything is so much easier now.
Yeah, now that you have someone who can control people's
Oh my
minds.
God, yeah,
because
yeah.
they were like, oh, come in the van, little kid, and you're
Exactly.
like,
And
F
he
that.
does it. And he does it, right?
No,
Yeah.
he doesn't. He's just, oh no, there was a guy who was like, come in the van. He's like, nah, and then she's just like, get in the van, and then
He's like,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
he's
you
like,
got
"All right,
me."
if
But I
you
was
say
like,
so.
But I was like, that sucks because her abilities to just like
so
push
overpowered,
people's
yeah.
minds. So yeah,
And like
So-
that, so her whole mission throughout her life was to kill men, you
Yeah.
know? And then the last thing she does before she dies is to kill a man. And the way she does it is just like,
shoot yourself.
oh
Literally,
my God,
just
shoot yourself. And then Billy just points
Oh,
it out to him.
man.
And I was like, I saw it coming too. I was like, oh my
And
God.
then he's like, get back.
First I thought she was gonna be like, kill him or something.
So did I.
But
so did I.
But it wasn't even. I don't even think she really even said it as like a full-on command. I think it was kind of like in general, like
just
like,
whenever
oh,
she
like,
get
kill
blurred
yourself,
out,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
And-
thought so too. When I saw this movie, I was like, oh, she's going to say, shoot him. And then they're going to have like a one-off, battle with each other. But then when she said, shoot yourself, I was like, oh my God.
kill yourself, and he just does.
I didn't even think.
Ah.
Honestly, didn't think of that. I was like, imagine if he had a fight. They had to fight each other. That would have been horribly.
I thought that she was going to like make
Yeah.
him fight Danny. But then when she said that, I was like,
No, but
It was
I'm
just
imagine.
super. It ended super quick. It was super tragic. I was like, he was like
It was.
the thing. Okay,
Yeah.
this movie and the last movie, there's super good people who like go out of their way to help you, and they
extremely
just
out
get
of their
that.
way.
They just die.
Yeah, I like.
Happened with
like,
Dick in the first movie. It happened
Yeah.
with Billy in the second movie.
exactly. And it happens quick.
And then
like that.
I said,
Yeah.
so Rose is like, I just saw my whole family, my whole clan, die in front of me, pretty much, like because she had the psychic connection with them.
And I enjoyed the
so
dialogue between Crow and Abra in the car.
Oh yeah.
Where she's
Abra
like,
or Danny?
no, with Abra and Crow, and she's like, where's my dad? And he's like, good people die today. You lost people and I lost people.
I know. I was like,
oh.
oh no.
But that's another thing where I was like, did he just send his friends to their death?
I think it's just because
Who-
he knew they died.
Yeah, like I think like
I
I-
really- I- like I
whether
said, I
he
don't
knew
think-
or not,
I don't think
I
he
feel
knew
like
they
he's
died,
like,
dude.
I'm gonna have this backup plan just in case, whether
Except
that
I'm
happens or
sorry.
not. Because the Crow is the Crow. Like he's the one. He's like believe it or
He's
not,
like
the
the
master plan.
He's like the scout.
Yeah, he's like the scout.
So
What were you gonna say?
Rose, I don't know.
Sorry.
It's gone.
I just wanted
But
to
Rose is like, she's pissed off. So
I
she starts
love that, I
juicing
love
on
that,
all the what do they call it?
say that.
It's not.
Steam.
Yeah, she starts
Steam.
juicing
She
all the
starts
steam.
literally steaming.
Yeah, and I was like, Rose is juicing. It's not like she has to share anymore.
But we
and
didn't mention
then-
that Danny killed Crow.
Yeah. So Danny takes over Abra's body because she's too weak right now, and he's like, kind of like, hey, he's like, damn, it feels like I'm hungover. Like I hate this feeling. I haven't felt this way in years.
Yeah.
And he goes like, oh, like who are you or whatever. I don't really remember the full conversation, but he goes,
So
hey,
pretty
like,
much- yeah.
I can say.
No, yeah. So pretty much like when she gets kidnapped, Danny just goes crazy. He's like, oh my god, the worst possible scenario happened. You
Yeah.
know?
How do I do this? And then
He goes back home, panics. He was gonna drink, and then he's like, "No, I
No,
shouldn't." Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's when he's all like, "Let me try to contact her."
She
Yeah.
explained it like it's a radio. Like if she can't call to me, I need to try to call to her.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he finds her. And then it just goes to show how strong he is. Like
Yeah.
I do like. Well, I mean, he did a lot closer.
no, I know, but
He's stronger.
No, but after
But
he
she's
literally
We're power scaling. We're power
he
scaling.
did like telekinesis
I know,
at the end,
but,
dude.
Yeah.
But I did like the line where he goes, "Oh, like you guys have been alive for all these years. You guys think you're immortal.
That's the line I
Like,
was gonna
that's why
say.
you're not wearing a seatbelt."
Exactly.
arrogant.
Yeah, I
And
love
it
that.
goes,
I love that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
That's where I was like, if you don't remember, I can tell you.
There's some
Yeah.
good lines in this movie, man.
There's a lot of
It's
good
like,
lines.
yeah.
So then we get to the last 30 minutes. You hear the original theme of The Shining.
And it's
Thank
just,
you,
it's just
thank
the
you.
straight
whole last
reference.
30 minutes is just 30 minutes of
Fan
fanfare.
service, fan
Oh my
service.
god, I love that. It was amazing.
It was good, yeah, but
So I was saying it was weird because the actress, like, it would have almost made more sense to CGI. What was the original actress's name?
No, it wouldn't, because that's the problem they had in the beginning. They're like, should we use de-aging for these actors, or should we like CGI them? But I liked how they hired brand new actors to play Wendy, to play Jack.
I
You
agree
know?
with
It was a little jarring for me.
It was
'cause I did
extremely jarring.
well, you
saw the-
just watched it,
yeah.
yeah.
No, it was
Like I
extremely
just saw The
jarring.
Shining,
So
and
did
then
I,
I
but
see.
I get what I get what you
It
mean.
wasn't that weird to me until they recreate. They do a
s-
flashback scene.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they use the new actress. I was like,
Yeah.
that looks weird.
I love.
And then the guy who played Jack,
No.
I thought he was CG for like half the conversation. I was like, is that? I was like, no, that's just
No,
a different guy.
No,
No,
it's
that's a
a
different guy. Yeah.
Because I was like, why does CG look so weird? It's like, oh, it's just a completely different person.
Yeah, it's a
because,
completely different person.
Jack Nicholson, right?
Yeah. Jack
Nicholson,
He retired, so he's not gonna come back to
Yeah,
the role.
and also like it's
The-
like you can't be mad at that because like to perform like Jack Nicholson did
Yeah.
in that movie, whether you like it or not, like he did his best.
I know.
The actress that played Wendy, that's the actress I'm like, oh my god, she's Wendy. It was so uncanny
like,
because
how
it's
well
like
she
I
looked,
was
yeah.
I was hearing Wendy, you know, like I was seeing her act and like her maneuvers, the way she like
Like
acts
her
with
body
her
movement and
body
everything, yeah.
movements. But it was a different actor. That's the thing that threw me off because I'm like, oh my god, it's Wendy. You know, like her acting was just so good.
Two things. One, the actor who played Jack in the film, who's replacing him,
Yeah.
I believe that was the same little boy from E.T. So I thought that would be fun to mention.
Macaulay
Really?
Culkin?
No,
Okay.
E.T. fool. Wait, what?
Are you serious?
Yeah, pretty sure.
We'll look it up later. But
But then again,
that's
you don't
that's
remember about
interesting.
Banner Billy. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
gotta,
all right, you're allowed to have that. I'll let you have that. Second thing is I forgot already. What the hell were we talking about?
But I was saying,
Fuck.
oh, before that, I was saying, I skipped over a minute because they're trying to run through the movie.
Right,
But
right, right,
we only got
I was like,
a few minutes
oh, they're bringing back miniatures. When he goes to that new town and he meets Billy,
left. Yeah, that was
they
a
have the
reference.
whole miniature town.
So the way they did
Tiny Town or something. they
that
called it?
helicopter shot where they're going back to the hotel,
Mhm.
that's the same shot from the original movie.
Yeah,
They needed that same exact shot. They're like, let's just use that same shot. You know,
but
use
modern time.
modern times, dim down the light, add some
It's
trees, some
nighttime
snow. Boom, it's brand new.
And then I was like, the hotel was trying to tempt him
Yeah.
Because they're like, here's your dad, and he's like, hey, like I thought you might want to know like what happened to your wife, like
Yeah.
she died and this and that, like it was my mom, like she died, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not your dad. I'm whatever he said his name was,
Yeah.
like the bartender.
The bartender.
And he's like, look, all you got to do to take everything off your mind is take your medicine. He gives him some alcohol. He's like, just take your medicine. He's like,
It's been years.
no, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember what I was gonna say. The some of the audio, I believe was done on 100% on this, but people were saying that they think the audio was from the original. That's why it sounded so similar
What audio?
for the mother.
No. That's they legit like that was acting.
Okay.
That was all that.
I heard someone say that, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
No,
if
it's
that's true
because
or
they
not.
sound so good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
like
I wasn't sure if that was a soundbite.
yeah,
That's why.
no. They sound so good. Like
But they trap Rose in someone's mind. You don't know whose mind.
We know.
We know who. I mean, it's pretty obvious. but
Rose. So, hold on. Danny gets to the hotel.
Then he gets to the
He
hotel.
tells Abra, "Stay outside. If you see headlights, that's Rose coming.
Warn
Just let
me."
me know.
Yeah.
Warn me." So he starts going through the hotel, going through the rooms. Obviously
All the
like,
fanfare, yeah.
nostalgic. Yeah, all fanfare. He turns on the boiler room, and then he walks out. And then that's when Abra sees the headlights.
He's talking to his. He talks. To
Oh
his
yeah,
dad's
he
ghost,
goes to the gold room.
and then he gets interrupted because of.
right.
Abra
Abra
saying-
saying, "Yeah."
And she's like, she's here, and then
Yeah,
he's like,
and
all
then,
right,
like,
all right, let's go.
So Rose goes inside the hotel. What does Rose sees first? The blood going out
Yeah.
of the.
Yeah.
Which
I
was
like how she thought the thing that we thought when we saw the blood in the hotel. Like, that's
Nice.
neat.
So yeah, everybody's
yeah.
like,
So it's like I love
respect.
that, and it's
Yeah.
it's so cool because like in that scene, it's all CGI. They recreated that whole scene in CGI. It took months to make it look super
They
real.
could have just remastered the original scene. Through
No,
the,
they couldn't because it needed
make
to
it
be from the
darker.
point of view from Rose, since Rose is taller than when Danny saw it. Because
Oh, okay.
Danny saw it from the floor. Rose is taller, so they had to recreate that scene from her point of view, like a little bit taller.
That's
It's just,
interesting.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's just crazy to think about because it's like, wow, you never think about that until, you know what I mean?
until you have to.
Until,
Yeah.
until you have a film student talk to you about it on a podcast.
Exactly.
Good job.
But I was they go in someone's mind, and it's the Overlook maze,
Yeah.
and it's expanded, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, like Overlook
Yeah.
maze 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was thinking,
It's
'cause-
hype.
Yeah, but I was,
Super
I was,
hype.
I was
Yeah.
like, can she fly?
In there? No, I don't think so.
Not in
Yeah,
his
I
mind,
was
no,
like,
yeah,
Because
no.
she's
Can't
in
she
someone
fly?
else's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so she walks around and says, oh, like I like what you've done to the place. Like it doesn't look like a little kid's room anymore.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, like how do we know this isn't your mind? And she's like I know this isn't my mind, you know.
Yeah.
And then she runs to the little girl, and she's like, oh, like I've cornered you or whatever. And I put this down. And I was like, I feel like you'd appreciate this. I said, infinite Tsukiyomi.
Which part?
So she's talking to the little girl,
I don't know
and the
what
little girl
she's
just runs
talking
behind her and like cuts her ankle.
Oh, yeah.
And then
so
she's
she-
like,
she's
oh,
just slicing
yeah,
dicing
you're
it,
a
yeah.
little sneaky or whatever. And then she does it again.
Mhm.
And just like 3 more times. And it's just like not like it's a nonstop loop. And then she's like, oh, like I've had enough. Like she grabs her and she's like, enough. And she like does it. And I said she broke the genjutsu.
It's so cool when she's
Okay,
like,
it's-
enough,
It's
and
what
then
it
she
felt
like,
like. It was
That's it,
really
yeah.
cool.
yeah, it was amazing when she's like, enough, and then she just breaks free out of
And I
that.
love how you
I
see
don't
the
know
box.
if you've ever watched Naruto, but it's like when they get like hypnotized.
It's basically
Oh,
illusions.
no, I
Yeah.
haven't
No,
seen
but
it.
I love how the box is creeping up behind her.
Yeah, it is all
And
slow.
then the moment she's like, no, and then Danny gets blasted
We should-
back,
yeah.
Abra gets blasted back, and he's like, run!
yeah.
like,
We
Get
should
away.
do like scenes with the actual sound or whatever, and then just have that scene, but just have like a
yeah, I know. Yeah,
In the
dude.
snow.
yeah, just like
Yeah.
have like hopefully she doesn't
I
hear
know.
this.
And then that comes my next like favorite scene of this movie, and it's not a recreation of the Sarah scene, but how would you describe it?
Danny grabs an axe, and Rose is trailing behind Danny, and Danny just kind of like is reenacting that same scene that his mom
Posture, flipping it back and
Yeah, he's
forth,
flipping it back and forth, going up
Rose
the
hands
staircase.
her up. It's like perfectly. It's well shot. It's like
I know,
beautiful.
and it's almost like if you think about it, like
And the dialogue
Danny,
in that moment is so good too.
oh, it's so good. Danny relives what his dad went through and what his mom went through at the
Yes.
same time.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy because it's like, God damn, just Mike Flanagan, chill out. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like,
like we get it. You're good.
yeah.
So he's basically fending off
Rose.
Rose.
I don't know what
I don't know what the little girl's doing at this point.
She's
'cause
supposed to just get out. He told her to leave.
yeah,
He told her
she's
to
she
leave.
ran upstairs.
Yeah, but that's a big hotel. She can just leave. Just get out of the
Horror,
hotel.
horror movie trope, like when you're trying to run away from the killer and you go upstairs.
Yeah.
But he's trying to fend her off, and
Let's
he
get to the
goes like,
best
"Hey."
part. Let's get to the best part
Yeah.
of the whole movie.
So
Okay, I'm curious.
she's like,
Oh,
she
that
starts
part. Okay.
she starts torturing him. She's like, "Oh my god, like you're so
She's like, you taste so good.
you taste like whiskey, like you're so
yeah,
refined." You
I
know?
love that line. You know, I was like, that.
And then
Literally,
she kind
yeah.
of goes into his brain. And she's like, "Oh, like what's all
What's
all
this?
this? Like
Come
what
on.
are you
You're
hiding
not
from
the
me?"
only one.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So what are you hiding from me? He's like, "Oh, I was like, well, I don't remember what he says, but point is,
He's
open
like-
the box."
Yeah.
He says, she goes, what secrets are you hiding in these boxes? And he's like, they're not secrets. They're starving. And he just lets them all out.
Oh
Yeah.
my god,
Yeah.
it was so good.
I enjoyed that, but I was just like, man, I wish she suffered more.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
She suffered
I was.
decently
I don't
more.
care. I was too
Yeah.
busy enjoying the moment.
Me personally.
I was like, thank you, thank
I
you.
feel like for you were just like, I want all of the.
all the suffering she caused on that child early in the movie.
No,
I want to see
was
that
that?
on
What
her
were they called
a
again?
billion
They were
times
like
worse.
true, like oh, I wish all the members of True Knot had like a hostile scene, like a
Yes,
torture
yes,
porn
I did.
scene.
I was. That's me though. That's because how mad it made me in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, but then so
I was like, sheesh.
so then they all kill her, and they're kind of like, damn,
That
it's
was
been
good.
40 years.
That
I'm
was
kind of
good.
hungry. So they turn to Danny, and he's kind of like,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I love that.
And I was just expecting to be like, giant box, you know, but like that didn't happen.
Danny gets
so
possessed.
the little girl's upstairs, and she's waiting, and Danny comes up. And she's like, "Oh, like Danny, like, is it done?" And it's like all fanfare and no play, make Danny a dull boy.
Yeah.
So he's like possessed by the hotel,
Yeah,
and he's basically just exactly like how his dad was in the first movie.
exactly.
Yeah.
Even with limp and everything.
Yeah.
She
'Cause he got stabbed in the leg. That's why.
She noticed that right away. She goes into the room.
237.
237, and then
Oh,
she's in there.
Yeah, she sees the old hag.
The hot
She
one.
sees-
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Well,
When
while
you-
Danny in the first movie was just traumatized by that.
Yeah, I like how
she
she's
just-
like, "Don't
yeah.
even try me."
Yeah,
Like,
don't even try it.
She says, try it. Like,
Yeah, she's like, go ahead and do it. See what happens.
see what happens.
I love
I
that part.
dare you.
Yeah.
And then I like because she doesn't really get to Danny, but she's like, "Hey, like I know you're the hotel.
Yeah.
Like, do you know where you're standing? Like, this is Danny Torrance. Like
Oh.
he's the guy."
I love the dialogue in that moment too, because he's like, he's like, you don't know. He's just like, don't you know where you are? And he's like, and then the possession is like, I know the halls of my own
Yeah.
like of my own like hotel. It's
Yeah.
such a badass. Like it was so cool. And then and then she takes a swing at her, and then he stops.
And then he stops, and then I said, "This Jedi doesn't kill younglings."
And then he breaks out of that possession for a bit, and then he just.
He's
tells
like, I
her,
told you to run.
Yeah.
Why are you still here?
Yeah.
run.
Get
Now,
outta
now
here.
it's me now.
yeah,
Just
no,
run.
it's before that. So she goes, Danny made a stop before
Are you okay? I'm better.
we came in,
Mhm.
and he goes, he went to the boiler room. Like
at
this
about
whole
10
place is gonna
minutes.
blow up.
Okay.
So then I think even like the possession was like, I'm gonna go, or whatever. And he goes, possessed Danny goes to the boiler room, and he like goes to like kind of stop the thing, and then like Danny comes back and he's like, no. And I was like, oh, even after all these years, the hotel can't do its own maintenance.
No.
So Danny kind of comes back, and he sees his mom.
Oh, so beautiful.
So
It's
it goes to his
beautiful.
mom. So they kind of reconnect.
There's two things that, again, I would wish I'd seen the director's cut that adds to this moment too. I'm gonna keep doing it. 'cause
I just,
it's
no, I
nice
just watch it. Like I said, I was just watch the director's cut.
you know how he was talking about how when his mom was on her deathbed, all he could see
It
was
was just flies.
flies.
Yeah.
covering her face. So he
Yeah.
couldn't look at her in her final moments because his shine was kind of
He's messing
warped.
with him.
Yeah, it was warped at that point. And so he couldn't look her in the eyes. And then there's a line that's mentioned during the AA scene where he's like talking about his childhood,
Yeah.
where he's like, after the event, I might be misquoting this, but like it's
Mm.
after the events of what happened at the hotel, his mom had a hard time looking at him directly in the eyes because she
Yeah,
reminded him of her dad,
Yeah.
of his dad.
Like she was
So-
traumatized, he was traumatized, so,
so
they
the-
had a rough time.
So this
growing up
final,
together.
final moment where they're both just staring in each other's eyes, finally accepting each other for who they are, was just like this beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Super beautiful.
I was already beautiful, and then I found out that happened.
yeah,
and I was
dude.
like,
Yeah,
"Ah."
yeah.
And, I was like, and then the hotel just combusts because obviously like it's been
Combust in
dry wood
flames.
for
Yeah.
40 years.
I mean, it's
I was like, Danny deserved better, but I did enjoy his ending. Like it was good.
Burst into flames.
Mhm.
Abra's outside. Cops come. Epilogue.
Yeah. I said I was like, oh, the hotel dies. I was like, oh, it's just like a sequel movie to kill off a legacy character. But
kind
she,
of.
But the way they
It's more
finished
like
their,
passing the torch.
yeah, but the
Yeah.
way the way
Yeah,
they finished
I
off
get
the
it, I
story
get
in
it.
the epilogue, it was worth it because like at at the
yeah,
very end,
because
like
she's telling the story. She's like, yeah,
Yeah.
like the hotel died. Like I heard it screaming.
I just
Yeah.
enjoyed that
This
she
and
was
that.
truthful with her mom at the end too. Like, no more secrets. Just be out in the open.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. And then in the next scene, you see her talking with Dan.
Yeah, as his he's like the new Jedi mentor.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
like the mom comes in the room and like he's not there, and then you find out that
It's like who are you talking to?
he's the new Dick Halloran.
He's
the new,
dead.
Yeah,
Yeah, he actually died in that moment.
yeah. He's the new Dick Halloran now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, the mom, I don't know what they're doing. They're going to go do something. She's like,
Yeah.
hey, are you coming? So I'll be there in a minute. You know, she got to use the little girl's room.
Exactly.
And you
G1v1s.
see, yeah, you see
Yeah.
the ghost again from the opening scene with Danny. So
Gotta
she's
lock 'em
she's now going to find all the shining ghosts and lock them away again.
All right, so we're running out of battery. Ratings real quick. So, just real fast. I think of this movie, Doctor Sleep, as a standalone. I think it is at like an 8. As a sequel, it's like an 8.5.
Yeah,
because it's such a good sequel. It's like almost a perfect sequel. In my
I'm gonna
opinion.
say I don't think this movie can be a standalone.
Really? Yeah. Okay. So then,
I
as
think
a
there's
solo
too,
movie,
there's
I
so much
feel like-
fanfare. There's so much exposition you need from the first movie.
But there's
that
also
if you
so
watch
much
this
lore.
Movie, if you watch this movie
Yeah.
on its own,
no, I know, I agree.
Yeah.
if you watch the movie on its own, I don't think you're gonna be able to follow what's going
I
on.
don't think you would be able to appreciate it as much, but I think you would be able to follow it because it's so much different.
I feel
than
like you'll be able to
than
follow it
Shining.
up until the ending.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
You're like, okay, I get what's going on, and at the end, like, what the hell is all this?
Yeah.
so
what's
that-
going on?
So that's mine. You guys go.
I give it an 8.5, solid 8.5.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, 8.5 across the board.
Oh yeah,
right.
finally we're on the same page on something, man.
You know what? Screw it, 8.6.
No. What if it was a standalone?
4. I don't know. No, it was a great like I said, it was a good
It's
right
so
off the bat.
beautiful.
It was a great horror movie.
Yeah.
If it was a standalone film, like I said, I feel like a lot of stuff would fall on like just flat. I would say maybe like a 6.5 or a 7.
And on our old
As a
rating system,
standalone.
I wish I saw this in theaters.
I wish I saw this.
I
in
wish
theaters
I
as
saw it in theaters. Yeah,
Lucky
when I
you.
saw it in theaters, I got free tickets to it with one of my friends, and I was like, hey, I have like this extra movie ticket. Like, do you want to go? Do you want to go to the movies? And it was Peter, and he's all like, yeah, sure. What movie? And I was like, well, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. There's
Should have been like a
doctors-
cheesy,
Yeah, no,
like a cheesy movie sign. You're like,
No.
oh, what movie you gonna go see? You're like, look at the camera, and just like, boom, Doctor
No,
Sleep.
because it was this new movie theater that opened up in Glendale,
Mhm.
and when I passed by, they're like, "Oh, hey, we just opened. Here's some free movie tickets." And so by the time it's like Doctor Sleep just came out, I was like, "Oh, I want to watch it, but
I'm not sure how to feel.
I'm
But I
not
mean,
sure
if you're
to
gonna
feel
see a
about
movie
it.
you're not sure about, you got to do it with the free
Yeah,
movie ticket.
and so when I saw
Agreed.
it
Yeah,
in
free.
theaters, I was blown away. Like last
Because you
time,
love The Shining already.
Yeah,
and then
and-
you're like, oh, this lived up
and
to
I
what
and I
it's
went in
promising.
there with low expectations, so I came out of that just kind of like mind blown of what I just saw. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I watched this in my room on HBO Max when it was HBO Max and
Yeah.
when it was on HBO, and it had special features.
yeah.
I bought this DVD and it didn't even have special features. I was like, no. And I watched that alone in my room, and then exactly the reason why I wanted to make this channel with you guys, I was like, I want to talk about this with somebody. I went to my mom. I was like, you should watch this movie. It's 2.5 hours.
She's like, nah, now I'm
It's
writing.
really
I'm writing
good."
my book. You're like,
She actually did like 2 months later, and she's like, that was a good movie. I like, how'd you like the child murder scene? She's like, that was horrible. I was like,
Yeah.
that's
What-
why I wasn't gonna.
I mean, that would be
recommend it.
concerning if she's like, that was my favorite part. You're like, I gotta play that on loop
Should've been
before bed.
extended.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's why I'm so happy to be able to talk about this movie because I even watched it, well, a couple years back now. So I know we're out of time. So
No, it blew me away when I saw it in theaters, and honestly, like, give Mike Flanagan more movies to direct, because
So that they could be underappreciated until after they were released.
yeah, no, he needs more
More projects,
More
bigger
attention,
names.
yeah.
Like,
give him movies like you'd give to like Wes Craven or like to like I don't know, like John Carpenter. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like it's like, oh, like he's making a movie, just give him all the rights, give him all creativity to.
because I
just
know there's
make
some
it.
people like in like Hollywood where they're like, oh, this guy's making a movie, fund it, fund all of it.
Yeah, or
I
like
feel
let's
like if
limit
James
what he
Wan-
can
If
do.
you hear if you
Yeah.
hear Mike Flanagan, just fund his movie because it's gonna do super well.
Yeah.
yeah. I wish I'd mentioned his name during the Decades of Horror when we talked
You
about
did
it.
though.
I didn't. No, I don't. I think I rewatched that episode and I was like, damn, I didn't mention his name.
It's because he wasn't, because you did the 2010s.
Yeah.
He was barely making his move in the
I
2010s.
guess it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Kind of your fault.
But
Anyway, any final words before we wrap up?
great
Thank you for
movie,
watching,
great
if you made it this far.
sequel. Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you for watching. If you made it this far. Anything?
No.
All right, well, that's it. That's
All right, we'll cut it there. Thank you for watching.
I love you, boys.
Love you too.